So what happens when, really advanced technology runs up against deep cultural
Yeah.
challenges,
Yes.
especially somewhere like
Yeah.
Africa?
Right.
And maybe even more interesting, how can investing in just one person trigger like a whole wave of change across generations?
That's pretty much the heart of what we're looking at today. The source material is this really insightful presentation, Scaling Translation Solutions in Africa.
Oh,
It's by Franz Barra. It focuses on Bible translation, sure, but the lessons on language tech, leadership, building capacity,
mhm.
especially given the tough conditions, both
Yeah.
physical and digital, they're huge.
Okay, let's dig into that then. Our mission for this deep dive is to get past the buzzwords. What does scaling translation solutions actually look like on the ground?
Yeah.
Because Bahram makes it clear, doesn't he? It's not just about, okay, we printed X number of Bibles.
Mm.
It's about building up the capacity itself,
Yeah.
creating systems that last, that really transform communities.
Exactly. And his own story kind of sets the tone for all of this. He mentions, he wasn't always in this field. He was working at a car wash before getting into global translation.
Really? A car wash?
Yeah. It kind of grounds the whole thing in this philosophy of patience and empowerment. You can see why that's so vital when you talk about scaling anything, really.
That definitely adds a layer of humility. And speaking of philosophy, he credits two main things, right? Patience and collaboration.
Yes. And he specifically mentions learning those from his family, his wife, Lillian, and their daughters. He sees that as the bedrock for making these big international projects work.
It makes sense. You need that patience for the long haul, for building systems, not just, ticking off tasks.
And that's how he defines scaling solutions. It's about building systems to make translation faster, cheaper, more effective, but critically, with local ownership baked in from the start.
So it's less about adding 1+1 and more about multiplication, exponential growth.
Precisely. He draws this really clear line between just counting numbers, projects completed, whatever, and genuinely multiplying capacity.
How does that work in practice then?
Well, he gives his own example. Years back, an organization called the Seed Company invested in him, not just for one translation project.
Mm.
The goal was bigger, to develop him into a leader who could then replicate those skills, train others.
Ah, I see. So they invested in the person to create a multiplier effect.
Exactly that. He took that investment and, multiplied it. He's trained hundreds of others, translators, literacy folks, tech specialists right across Africa.
That really is multiplication in action, turning one seed investment into this whole growing network.
And he passes that philosophy on. He apparently tells his mentees, don't be like me, be more than me.
Wow. That's quite a challenge to give someone.
It is. It means
Yeah.
the aim isn't just to copy what he did. It's about constant improvement, finding faster ways, using newer tech.
So each generation builds on the last.
Right. And the ultimate goal is that the success, the harvest, as he puts it, belongs to the local communities themselves, not to the outside trainers or funders.
And the results, the scale seems pretty significant.
Definitely. He mentioned supporting over 90 language groups just in Cameroon through this model, and many more across the continent. It's extensive.
90 groups in Cameroon alone, that's huge. But I imagine getting to that point wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
Far from it. You might think the biggest hurdles would be, like, the technology itself, but Burra highlights the human side, the environmental challenges. Those were often tougher.
Okay, let's pause on those challenges because they sound pretty intense.
Yeah.
The digital gap you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that's a major one. Digital illiteracy. He talks about training translators who sometimes have literally never used a computer before.
Never. Wow.
Imagine going from that to needing to master complex software like Paratext, which is standard for this work, collaborative tools, cloud stuff.
That's a monumental leap.
Right.
It requires incredible patience, like you said.
Radical patience, yeah. And that's just the mental challenge. Then you layer on the physical risks he described.
The travel.
Terrible roads, really long journeys, lack of sleep, and actual danger. He mentioned threats from rebels, armed robbers.
So this isn't safe office work.
Yeah.
People are genuinely risking their safety just to get to the next village, the next workshop.
Absolutely. It's dangerous work, which, begs the question, why do it?
What's the answer then?
It's the transformation they see. He describes this moment months after starting with someone terrified of a keyboard, and then seeing that same person confidently typing, editing, checking drafts, getting ready to publish. The technology flips from being scary to being empowering.
That must be an incredible feeling for both the trainer and the trainee.
Totally. And Burra says the motivation goes deeper than just finishing the task. Every time a community gets scripture in their own language, their heart language, it reminds the workers why they're there. He talks about it as playing their small part in fulfilling the Great Commission. It's about making this message, which might have felt foreign, feel incredibly real and close.
The technology enables it, but it's the localization, the language,
Yeah,
that brings the power.
exactly. When people can engage with these ideas in the language they dream in, the language they speak to their kids, the impact is just immediate.
Let's talk about those impacts. He shared some powerful stories, didn't he? Like Sifra from Cameroon.
Oh, Sifra's story is amazing. It perfectly shows that journey from fear to fulfillment. Married, kids, never finished high school, and the only woman on her translation team.
The only one. That adds another layer.
For sure. And initially, she was so intimidated by the computers in the workshop, she'd literally sit far away from them, wouldn't get close.
Wow. So how did she get past that?
It's perseverance, encouragement from the team, that philosophy of patience from the trainers. She eventually didn't just learn, she mastered it.
Mastered it how?
Get this. Sifra became the main typist. She personally keyboarded the entire New Testament in her language.
The whole thing. That's incredible. What a journey from being afraid to even sit near a computer.
Isn't it a massive win for digital literacy, for leadership, especially for a woman in that context?
And did it connect with the community?
Instantly. That's the proof of success, right? When they dedicated the New Testament earlier this year, they sold 2,000 printed copies right there on dedication day.
2,000 copies, just like that.
Yep. It shows people weren't just seeing it as, some religious text dropped in from outside. It was theirs, a local achievement. It validated all of Sifra's hard work.
That's powerful community buy-in. And the impact went beyond just books, didn't it? He talked about the Babenki community.
Ah, yes, the Babenki. That's a fascinating example of how access to translated scripture actually changed how people use their time. Well, before the translation work really took root, their week was structured differently. Nearly 4 days were typically given over to traditional rituals, market days, rest days, that sort of thing.
Okay, a fairly traditional rhythm.
Right. But after they got the texts in their own language, they felt empowered, maybe? They collectively decided to redeem their time, as Barra put it.
Redeem their time. What did that mean, practically?
They streamlined things. They chose to keep just the main market day and Sunday for worship, and dedicated the other days back to things like farming, education, other work.
So access to text in their language led to them literally reorganizing their social and economic week.
Seems like it. It wasn't just a spiritual shift, it changed their daily priorities, driven by literacy and language.
That ties into something else he mentioned, dignity.
Yes, dignity. That feels like a really core insight. There was this brilliant little story about the Lamso Bible translation.
Okay.
A linguistics professor from the Lamso community himself, highly educated, knew the source texts well. He read the new Lamso translation.
And what was his reaction?
He was apparently just stunned. He said something like, "I can't believe this Bible was translated by ordinary people I know. The message feels so real."
Wow. Ordinary people I know.
Exactly. The power wasn't just that the translation was accurate, they ensure that, but that it felt authentic. It came through people from their community, relatable people.
That really hits home, doesn't it? Scaling isn't just about efficiency. It's about that deep connection only local ownership can bring.
And that's sort of the big picture wrap-up Barra gives. He keeps coming back to this idea. Scaling means seeing the value of one investment, one person, just ripple outwards. Multiplying through lives, communities, across generations. It gets wider and deeper over time.
So for the people doing this tough, risky work on the ground, what's the payoff? What does it all add up to?
Well, he summarizes the benefits pretty clearly. The translation work brings light, it brings peace, and maybe most importantly, it brings that sense of dignity. Hearing profound truths in your own language, not a foreign one, that matters.
It validates the language and the people who speak it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Which leads to his final call to action. It's all built on that multiplication idea. Use whatever you have, influence, skills, money, whatever, but invest it in people.
Not just projects, people.
Right. So the impact doesn't stop with you. It creates a legacy that keeps growing through the next generation.
He had that lovely metaphor at the end.
Ah, yeah, the seed. A single seed planted faithfully can grow into a mighty tree that gives shade to many. It's beautiful.
And then he closed very simply in his own language.
Yes. Mbiri van fe, which just means I thank you very much. Brings it all back to that personal, local foundation for this global work.
So if we boil it down, the key takeaway seems to be that, yes, technology speeds things up, but real lasting transformation comes from deliberately multiplying human capacity locally.
That's it. The tech gives you tools, but investing in local people gives you relevance and legacy.
You know, that Lamso professor's comment. It
Yeah.
feels so real because it was translated by ordinary people I know.
Yeah.
That's really sticking with me. It makes you question our usual ideas about expertise in global projects, doesn't it? If real impact starts with local authenticity, maybe even more than outside resources,
Yeah, how does that shift things?
how does that change how we approach sharing knowledge or development aid? What skills, beyond the purely technical things like that radical patience, building relationships, humility, are actually essential for making any big idea feel real locally?
It certainly forces a rethink of who the expert really is in these situations. Definitely something for you, the listener, to mull over.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into multiplying capacity and the power of local investment. We'll catch you next time.